afternoon. It's once again 5:30 on a Friday afternoon, and this is your host, Congressman Danny Davis, for the next 20 minutes or so. Let me apologize, first of all, for being a bit tardy. I don't believe in being late at all. As a matter of fact, I often tell people that my father was the most punctual person I've ever known. I grew up in rural America, and oftentimes we would be places and nobody would be there but us, because he was a firm believer in what I call punctuality. Well, let me tell you, I have been in Chicago all of this week because this has been what we call a district work week, which means that rather than going to Washington to do any kind of legislative activity relative to trying to pass laws, we really work in our congressional offices and in our districts and spend time interacting with our constituents. For me, this has been a great time to do that, and I've had some great experiences. Last week, I spent some time at the White Castle restaurant at Madison and Roosevelt Road, serving sliders and putting together sliders. Now, someone might want to ask, why would I be at a McDonald's restaurant serving sliders? Well, one is I'm a firm believer in the dignity of work, all kinds of work. And I also believe in reinforcing what I believe in terms of what I call a livable wage. That is, people ought to earn enough so that when they work a week, they can pay the rent, they can have a little bit of insurance, they can buy the food they need to buy, they can send their young people, their children, to school, they can buy the garments and pay the fees, and they can have a little bit left over. I believe that that is called a livable wage. I am in favor of it. I support it legislatively, and I believe in doing things that show that work is a virtue. The prophet Khalil Gibran said that when you work, you bind yourself to love. That work is love made visible. And that when you do a job, do it with a passion. Do it because you want it to be done. He actually said that if you bake a bread and do not do it with love and care, it becomes a bitter bread. So if you've got a job and you don't like your job, then you will more than likely do it to the extent that he'd say that it's better to sit by the gate and beg for alms than to pretend that you're doing a job that you like. So learn to like it. This week I actually went to McDonald's. After having the experience at White Castle, then I went to the McDonald's this week at in Oak Park, Illinois, and met two wonderful people who own the McDonald's restaurant there. And one of them has never worked any place since he's been working except at a McDonald's. He started working at McDonald's as a crew member when he was in high school and kept working, and now he and his wife own 9 McDonald's restaurants. And I hope that that story is going to be written up in one of the local newspapers. Well, I always say that this is listening to the people Our number is 312-738-1060, 312-738-1060, and you can certainly give us a call and let us know what you have on your mind. Does not matter what. Obviously, this is a great political season. It's a great summer season. There are all kind of things going on. So I think we probably got a caller, so we'll go right ahead.
Good evening, Dr. Davis, U.S. Representative 7th District. I just want you to start reflecting on our current presidency. And I really believe the president do not get the credit what he's due. When you look at 9 years ago, when he took office, people's 401ks was in the toilet. The housing market was messed up. The financial institutions was messed up. Our automotive industry was on the brink of a lot of them going bankrupt. It was going to take some other parts of our economy with it as well. And we got 20 million people now have health insurance. And he does, and then unemployment have gone down, and he doesn't get the credit that he deserves. And you got some people, now if I'm wrong, stop me dead in my tracks, okay?
All right.
And when I say that, so far you haven't stopped me in my track.
No.
Look right here in the state of Illinois that we have a chief executive came in office as a businessman. And look at the mess that we have right now. And we got a person on the other side, I ain't going to call his name. He do a lot of his own advertising. He is a businessman. I don't think we can afford to have a businessman as the chief executive of the United States. And we look at our educational system right here in Chicago, we got business people running our educational system. Can we really afford to have a business person as the chief executive of our country? I just got to throw it out there like that and hear people respond. Take care and have a good evening.
Thank you so much. And I'm going to tell you, you said a mouthful. You know, one of the things that many people don't do is remember that when President Barack Obama took office, the country was in serious economic conditions, and many of us thought that our financial situation was going to actually put the country into bankruptcy. And President Obama came in, developed along with his advisors a bailout plan. And you're correct when you say that our U.S. automobile industry was on the verge of teetering and tottering and falling apart. General Motors, Ford, Chrysler, and we bailed them out. Our banks were wondering what in the world were they going to do. We ended up having to bail them out. But guess what? We have had the longest run in terms of job creation. Right now, we're part of that, as Barack Obama has steadied the government. It reminds me almost as much as looking back at what Franklin Delano Roosevelt was able to do. Hasn't been quite that impactful, and I don't want to get carried away. But I do want to say that our economy has been stabilized. We still got some economic conditions and economic problems and economic needs. And I think the biggest need that we've got is to try and figure out how do we distribute the wealth of our nation more evenly. And that's one of the things that Bernie Sanders has been talking about. You know, we live in this country, and the top 1% of the population own and control about as much in the way of resources and services as the bottom 90%. I'm saying you just start at the bottom and come all the way up. Well, that is a different proportionate share of the wealth. And so I agree with you. I think that President Obama has done a great job as president, given the fact that he has not had a majority party to work with in terms of his party, except for a brief period of time. And so if the other party controls the Senate and the other party controls the House, the best that you can do is negotiate. And of course, that's what's been happening. We are right down the street, as a matter of fact. You talked about 20 million people benefiting from the Affordable Care Act and having health insurance. These are 20 million people who did not have health insurance before the Affordable Care Act. And we happen to be right down the street from a state-of-the-art community health center, the Mile Square Community Health Center, as a matter of fact. That is one of 2,000 or so of these across the country that have all benefited from the Affordable Care Act. And we've had some additional ones built from money that came from the Affordable Care Act. And I can tell you that of all the things that I am proud of having been associated with over the years, I have no greater sense of pride than having been associated with the community health center movement in this country since about 1970. And we've seen these instruments of service grow and develop by leaps and bounds to the point where millions of people, more than 25 low and moderate income people in America, are able to get their ambulatory care at top flight centers like the Mile Square Center that sits right here on Roosevelt Road. There are many others. There's Near North, there's Access, there's Circle, there's the Christian Health Center. And so if you try and evaluate President Obama, and if you just talk about health care, that has been enough for me to say that Barack Obama has done a very creditable job as President of the United States of America. I'm proud to have supported his efforts, proud to have been a part of the team that helped to make health care available for millions of people who did not have it before Barack Obama became president. Well, anybody else wants to certainly join in, you're welcome. 312-738-1060. There are just so many things that are going on in this great town of ours. And, a weekend in Chicago is like an opportunity mecca. I mean, every kind of event, every kind of activity, every kind of place. I mean, I get so excited when it's time to come home until I don't know what to do. And if you don't have anything planned already, just all you have to do is just look up events, things in the park. We've been talking about health and health care. Let me tell you, there's nothing like being healthy. And so don't sit around in the house and just watch television or listen to the radio. Get out and walk. Get out and run. Go out to our great parks and play a little softball. Or go to the fitness center and get on the treadmill. Do a push-up or two. Anything that helps you to have a different state of health. You're going to feel better. You're going to enjoy life more. And everybody that you come into contact with are going to feel better because you're feeling better. And when you feel better, then you're happier. I mean, your attitude is different. Your attitude changes. You talk to people in a different way. And so try and be helpful. You know, last weekend my wife and I went to visit a federal penitentiary. We went to visit someone. And I think both of us, as we left, we just kind of felt good about who we were at that moment, in terms of knowing that we had attempted to brighten somebody else's day for a little bit. And it was a long train ride all the way to Alderson, West Virginia. But the environment, of course, is beautiful, and you see all these trees and all this grass. But I think that's what life really can be. You know, we've been moaning and groaning and talking about violence, and we had a very violent weekend last week, about 60 shootings, which is so unfortunate. And I think it means that we have to reinforce our efforts to do something about mental health and the mental health conditions of people. If people are healthy, then they don't necessarily feel like doing unhealthy things to other people. I mean, if people are happy and healthy, it doesn't irritate them to the extent that if somebody else pulls in the parking spot that you thought you were going to get, you don't reach and grab your weapon and pull it out and shoot the tires out of their automobile. and so just trying to be healthy. Go ahead, caller. We'll try to get you in. We're just about out of time.
I'll be real quick, Dr. David. You was missing about prisons. There was a time to show you how things have really changed. Look at the history. There was one time when junior college was free. But since we got so many people going to prison, the money that went towards junior college, we got to use towards prisons now. And that's one of the reasons why, you know, it costs so much in terms of college education. One, like I said before, junior college is one time free. I'd like to see those days come back.
Well, I tell you, Bernie Sanders has been talking a great deal about it. Hillary Clinton has not gone so far as to say, let's make it all free. But she has gone far enough to say, let's make sure that we put the resources into higher education. I had a call from a lady today. She is taking care of her grandson, and he just graduated from high school. And she is taking out a $9,000 loan. She called to ask if I knew where there were any scholarships and all. And I told her that she had waited a little late to apply for scholarships, but I gave her some places. But she is.
Can I tell you a quick story?
She's taken out a $9,000 loan to help her grandchild go to college. He's going to be going to Concordia University out in the western suburbs in Chicago. Well, we'll keep working on the education
Take care.
issue. Thank you so much. We want to thank all of our viewers, thank our callers, thank our listeners, thank all of you for watching the most interactive television in America. That's Chicago Cable Access Hotline 21. We'll be back next Friday, and I don't intend to be 1 second late. We'll see you then.